So back in high school and engineering school, I was always a student who loved studying. Literally, I loved studying so much that before bed, before I went to sleep, I would be lying in bed reading the physics textbook. Literally, that was my nighttime reading. And eventually, when I would get tired, I would fall asleep and I'd be thinking about the physics concepts in my mind, like, oh yeah, circular motion and everything. And literally on the bus on the way to school as well, while all the kids around me were sitting down, listening to music, sleeping, napping, I was there reading the maths textbook, the physics textbook, chemistry. I loved all these subjects. I was in love with studying. But the thing is, during high school, during engineering school, there was always at least one subject during the semester that I hated, that I really, really hated and I did not want to do. So in high school, that subject was English. I hated English so much that literally just the thought of the homework that I had next week would actually make me physically sick. Like if I heard in a movie or online somewhere somebody reference the play that I had to study in class, I literally felt sick. I literally was like, oh, I was feeling, grossed out. And if I even managed to get myself to sit down to study, or even the thought of the homework that I had to do arose in my mind, I would literally start to feel tired. I would sit down, crack open the play, and I'd fall asleep. So in this video, I wanted to teach you, because here's the thing, right? There is actually nothing fundamentally different about those subjects that you hate and those subjects that you love. There's nothing different between, say, for example, video games and the subjects that you hate. Now, okay, there is a bit of a difference. Video games are more stimulating and everything. But the truth is you can learn to love to do those difficult subjects. So in this video, I want to give you 3 mindsets that I learned over the years. How to force myself to start studying those subjects that I hated so that I could get into momentum and actually look forward to studying them every single day. So I didn't need to feel this resistance every day to studying them. I'm going to teach you how to get to that point where you're in momentum. It's like instead of you're trying to swim upstream to do the subject, it feels like you're swimming downstream. It just naturally, you can force yourself. And these are going to be very actionable that you can start today. That you can start to sit down and study today. So because I got to the point in high school where I was in love with English. I actually loved it so much that I would go to class and I would literally teach all the kids in my class about the play we were learning. I was like, look bro, like this character here, he talks about blue. That means that he's near the ocean because ocean represents his sadness, which is up and down. I was so into it. I was actually teaching the kids in my class. So I'm going to teach you how to get to that point. So first tip I want to mention. Okay, the first tip I want to give you might seem a bit weird. It might seem a bit spooky, but hear me out and you'll agree with me. You're not lazy. So, okay, if you're feeling lazy, probably the chances are you're coming home from school, let's say for example, you know you have to study, you literally don't feel like it, you'd rather do anything else. How do you force yourself to sit down and study? You probably think you're lazy, right? You probably think, oh, I'm so lazy, I'm not hardworking, I just want to lay down in bed all day, I literally get tired all day. You think you're lazy, right? But I guarantee you're not lazy. You probably have the energy to play video games. You probably have the energy to scroll on your phone. If somebody invited you to go to a fun thing, you'd probably get fueled with energy and you'd go. So the reality is you're not lazy. You're just running away from pain. So again, this is not your fault. It's not your fault that when you even think about this subject, you feel tired. It's an emotional response from your past. Essentially, you've been traumatized and your brain, your nervous system is trying to protect you. But the thing is, you're not lazy. So the first tip I want to give you here is to actually lean into that laziness. Now, this might seem weird, right? But here's the thing. If you were truly lazy, right? Let's say after school, you were so lazy. You would probably go lie down in the grass. You'd lie down on your couch. You'd lie down on your bed. And maybe you do that for a while. But I guarantee what you do when you feel lazy is you pull out your phone, you start scrolling, you start playing video games. And if we were to actually take your brain and do a study of your brain, I don't know how we do them, MRIs or whatever. We took a look at the activity, the neuronal activity in your brain. I guarantee they would be firing more during video games. They would be firing, okay, that's just a guess, but they would be firing a lot during these activities that you're doing. They would be firing a lot during Netflix, right? So it's not that you're lazy. You're still using your brain to a large capacity. It's just emotionally, studying feels like a threat to your nervous system, and emotionally, video games feels like a good thing to do. It feels like it's advancing your survival. So the first tip I want to give you is to actually lean into that laziness. So let's say you actually do feel lazy, you don't feel like studying. Great, go be lazy. Go lay down, go sit down. Okay, not go lay down, but do nothing. Literally, here's what I do, right? So a couple of weeks ago, I was feeling a bit lazy. I didn't want to work on some stuff. So look, everybody deals with this. Everyone deals with this resistance. It's not like it goes away. I've been dealing with this resistance for over 10 years. You're going to encounter new difficulties every day. Days are going to be different. You're always going to encounter this resistance. But here's what I did. Or here's what I do these days. So this one time, I do my deep work in the morning, right? First thing in the morning, I meditate, and then I go do like an hour or two of deep work. This one day, I really wasn't feeling like it. I was feeling like every idea I was coming up with recently was terrible. I was feeling no motivation. I had written so much and I hated it. So I was feeling a lot of resistance, right? Like you might be facing. Instead of lying down on my bed and scrolling on my phone, or trying to run away, trying to start some drama with my friends, trying to do something like that. Instead, what I did was I just sat on my chair and I literally just stared at my wall. I stared at my wall for like 20 minutes. And let me tell you, ideas started flowing. Because when you actually lean into your laziness, you realize it doesn't actually last forever. Nobody is lazy forever. Because like I said, your friend invites you to something fun, suddenly you're not going to be lazy. So what you need to do is you actually need to ride that laziness like a wave. There's a concept called urge surfing where if you feel the urge it's related to prawn, right? To corn, the content online. When you feel the urge to do it, you ride the urge like a wave. It's kind of the same. If you're feeling lazy, if you're feeling bored, ride it. Fully engage, embrace into the laziness. And you'll find that it will go away. Right? Because if you forced yourself to sit in a room, a white room, you would be so bored after like 20 minutes, 1 hour. You would literally feel like studying. Now that's not a guarantee, by the way. I'm not saying go stare at your wall and you'll like be so motivated in 20 minutes. But what I'm saying is just don't immediately reach for your phone. Don't immediately go play video games if you don't feel like studying. Just allow yourself to be fully lazy and just do nothing. Let's say, for example, even you took a nap. You would fall asleep for like 20 minutes and you'd wake up probably less lazy, right? I'm not saying take a nap. What I'm saying is literally just do nothing. If you can get into the habit of, instead of reaching for your phone, instead of reaching for some kind of stimulation to run away from your lack of motivation, if you can get into the habit of just doing nothing, you will come face to face with boredom, you will ride over it, and you will reach this next level of motivation. And you'll probably be much more likely to face your homework, or at least you'll come face to face with the fears that were preventing you from doing that homework. So that's what I did. Literally, I sat there for 20 minutes, didn't feel like working, and suddenly ideas started coming. And my limiting beliefs started surfacing. I was like, oh, okay. The reason I'm running away from this homework, with this work, is because I feel like these ideas suck. But most of my ideas suck anyway. I gotta work through those bad ideas till I have good ideas. So let me keep pushing through. And ideas started flowing. And eventually a good idea came out. And I got into the momentum. I got into the flow. So that's the first thing, lean into the laziness. The second thing that I want to tell you about is to stop relying on motivation. Now you hear this all the time, like, rely on discipline, don't rely on motivation. But I'm going to give you a twist here. Hopefully it'll help you understand it in a different way. Okay, so there's like this concept, this idea I want to talk to you about. Basically, in the beginning of a semester, I would always start very, very slow. I would skip classes. I wouldn't be doing homework. I'd be very, very lazy. But then after a couple weeks when I'd be forced into action, maybe by like a test coming up or something, I would kind of get into this momentum, this flow, and studying would become automatic. So this is what I want to tell you about. Build momentum. Don't focus on the individual study sessions. Focus on the momentum as a whole. See it as like, maybe, let's say you're pushing a big rock downhill. At first, there's going to be a lot of resistance to push the rock. But once it starts rolling downhill, like a snowball, let's say, and it starts like rolling down, you don't even need to push it. It's like, bouncing downhill. It's rolling very, very fast. Your semester is exactly like that. Starting off, there might be a lot of resistance to begin to study this subject. But once you get into it, once you start getting some wins, once you start understanding the subject better, you build this momentum. Once you start getting into the habit. So it's all about building habits. For example, you probably don't need to watch a video like how do I force myself to start brushing my teeth? Because you probably have so much, I assume, right? You probably have so much momentum from your childhood that you just brush your teeth automatically every single day. You don't even think about it. You literally go out of bed. You're literally like a zombie. You go and brush your teeth. Again, I'm assuming you're dentally clean, right? So you can get to this point with studying. It can literally become as easy as brushing your teeth because this is how your brain works. This is very interesting. About scientifically, I don't know the exact number, about 95% of your day is controlled by what's called the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is essentially that part of your mind that makes you do automatic actions. So when you go like a zombie to the toilet to brush your teeth, that's your subconscious mind essentially programming you like a robot to go brush your teeth. So if we can get into our subconscious mind the habit of studying every single day, it will go into that robot programming in your brain and you will turn up daily and study. So basically what this means is make it a habit. So how exactly do you do this? So this is why it feels so difficult to study, say for example, in the afternoon. If every single day you've been scrolling in bed in the afternoon, that's what your subconscious mind has programmed. Okay, it's afternoon time, we lie in bed, we scroll on our phone. This is why sometimes you might fall into these days of good habits, these days of making progress in your life, studying, working out, whatever you want. But then you sort of fall back to your baseline and scroll every day. It's not your fault, it's because of your programming. There's a concept in neuroscience. Neurons that fire together wire together. The more you repeat a habit, the more it gets ingrained into you. So that's why you're going to experience resistance when you start to force yourself to study. But if you do this for a few days, few weeks, whatever, you'll get into that momentum. So how exactly do we do this? I want to give you one big tip here that can help you. There's a concept called habit stacking. So what habit stacking means is every single day, you take a habit that you already do and you simply stack studying on top of it. Let's say, for example, for me, what I habit stacked was every single morning, as soon as I wake up, I do 1 hour of meditation. And immediately after that, I stack. First of all, I clean up my room a little bit, open up the windows and everything. And then immediately after that, I do 1 to 2 hours of deep work. Immediately after that. So I've taken a habit I already have, which is, first of all, the habit I already have, waking up, then meditation, then deep work for 1 to 2 hours. So this is what you can do. Maybe, for example, let's say, for example, after dinner, you tell yourself, after dinner every single day, I'm going to study. You stack the habit. And I guarantee you do this, at first there's going to be a resistance. It's going to be like, it's dinner time and I promise myself I'm going to study, but I don't feel like it. I'd rather go on my phone like I do every single day. Your subconscious mind's going to be fighting you. But I guarantee you go against your subconscious mind for a few days at least, and you force yourself to study. It's going to become a habit and it's literally going to be fun. I promise, once you're in momentum, it's literally fun to study. It's literally fun to do work. Okay, now here's a tip I can give you to make it a bit easier. Let's say, for example, you're like, okay, here's my rule. Every day after dinner, I'm going to go upstairs, take a shower, then immediately I'm going to bust out 3 hours of study every single day. If previously you were scrolling for 3 hours after dinner, there is going to be so much of a difference between what you were doing before and what you want to do that you're going to encounter a huge block of mental resistance. Maybe tonight you'll be so motivated after watching this video that you'll manage to bust out those 3 hours. But it will be so painful, so difficult that tomorrow there will be so much resistance to doing it. You'll be like, oh no, not this again. This is so hard. I don't want to do this again. Let's just scroll today. I can start tomorrow. Let's just do it tomorrow. So the tip I can give you is you need to really lower the bar with what you consider a successful study session. If you set yourself 3 hours when previously you were doing 0, there is going to be so much mental resistance that you're gonna procrastinate like 5 times a week, and you're gonna end up getting less study done than if you didn't set such a high goal. So this is why there's something called the 5-minute rule. I never really understood it. What's the purpose of the 5-minute rule? The purpose of the 5-minute rule is because the hardest part is literally starting. The hardest part is starting. So what I'll tell you is make yourself the goal that no matter what, every day after dinner, you are the type of person, you are an academic weapon, you are a student who is so disciplined that they sit down and study. Doesn't matter how long, but they're in the habit of after dinner, after showering, they sit down and study even for 5 minutes. And 5 minutes is so doable that you won't encounter any resistance. But once you actually get into that habit of sitting down every single day and studying, it will be so much easier to go from 5 minutes to 3 hours. This is something you might not believe when I tell you. You kind of have to go through the experience yourself, but you have to genuinely allow yourself to quit after 5 to 10 minutes, right? And here's what you're gonna find. You're gonna sit down for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Some days, yeah, you're gonna be so lazy, you're gonna do 10 minutes and you're gonna quit and go back on your phone, no problem. But there are gonna be some days where you do 5 to 10 minutes and you get a small win. Maybe you do a maths problem and you get it correct. Maybe you start looking at your English syllabus and you understand it better and it seems a lot more approachable. Well, now that 5 to 10 minutes is gonna turn into an extra 5 to 10 minutes. And maybe during that extra 5 to 10 minutes, you're gonna get another win, another spike in dopamine, and you're gonna stack again and again and again. And within a couple of days, that 5 to 10 minutes, some days it's gonna be 3 hours, some days it's gonna be 2 hours, some days it's gonna be 10 minutes, but it's gonna be more overall than if you tried to force yourself to do 3 hours immediately. So that's the tip I can give you, because a couple things here. First of all, there's this thing called the winner effect. The winner effect is if somebody is winning, they will keep on winning. So if somebody gets a small win, that win will boost and motivate them to get the next win, which will boost them to get the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. Again, that snowball effect that I talked about earlier. Compared to the loser effect, if somebody loses, it kills their motivation. They're probably more likely to lose again and again and again and again. So the loser effect, if you tell yourself you're gonna study for 3 hours and you only do 2, you've lost. You're gonna beat yourself up at night. You're gonna be like, oh, I only did 2 hours, I'm such a failure. And that's gonna make you less likely to study the next day. But if you tell yourself, look, I promised myself I'll study 10 minutes today, and you actually do it, you will build trust in yourself, you will get some wins, the subject will become much more clear, and you're more likely to turn up the next day. Another quote, the biggest motivator is progress. So again, focus on momentum, focus on the frequency, focus on turning up every single day, and the momentum will come. That's the tip. So did I apply that to that deep work session I was talking about earlier? So again, I wasn't in the habit of doing deep work in the morning. So I told myself, okay, immediately after meditation, I'm gonna sit on my desk, open up my document, and literally write anything. So it wasn't exactly, I didn't time 5 minutes, I timed the task. I was literally gonna begin writing something. And then I allowed myself to stand up and go do something else. I didn't allow myself to go into my phone immediately. I just allowed myself to literally just walk around. And there's something called the Zeitgartnick effect, which is basically your mind gets hooked onto uncompleted tasks. So I would open the document, I would begin writing a video, I would begin writing a document, something I was writing. Then I'd stand up and walk around. And I would notice that my mind was actually thinking about that problem that I was doing. And often I would feel motivated to come back and continue writing. So that's what you can do. Let yourself do 5 to 10 minutes and then apply the first rule I said before, allow yourself to be lazy. So begin the task, then go walk around, go look outside your room, go take a shower, do whatever. So that's how you combine those 2 tips. And for me, within a couple days, I was very naturally, like brushing my teeth, sitting down and studying every day, sitting down and doing deep work every day, right? Because I'm not a student anymore. I graduated last year, by the way. So that's it. Please comment any videos you want to see next. Please let me know. I read all the comments, but apart from that, Good luck and see you later.